Right now, somewhere in America, a retiree who worked for 35 years, saved diligently, and did almost everything right is watching their retirement savings disappear. Not because the market crashed, not because of a medical emergency, not because of bad luck, because of 8 specific assets they keep buying that are quietly and systematically transferring their hard-earned wealth to someone else. These are not exotic investments or complicated financial products. Some of them are sitting in your home right now. Some of them are being marketed to you this week. And if nobody warns you about them, you will keep buying them until the damage becomes irreversible. Consider this your warning. Before we talk about the 8 specific assets that are destroying retirement wealth across America, I need to address something more dangerous than any single purchase on this list. It is the mindset that makes people vulnerable to every single one of these traps in the first place. Because these are not random mistakes made by careless people. They are predictable, repeatable patterns of financial thinking that the entire consumer economy has spent billions of dollars engineering you to follow. And until you understand how that engineering works, you will keep buying things that make other people rich at your direct expense. There is a pattern of financial thinking that connects every poor retirement decision on this list, a pattern so deeply embedded in American consumer culture that most people who have it cannot see it from the inside. Financial researchers call it present bias. Behavioral economists call it hyperbolic discounting. But in plain language, it means the human brain is wired to dramatically overvalue immediate gratification and dramatically undervalue future consequences. And every single one of the 8 assets on this list is specifically designed to exploit that wiring. The consumer economy did not accidentally create products that feel good to buy today, but destroy wealth over time. It engineered them deliberately. The entire financial services industry, the real estate marketing industry, the automotive industry, and the subscription economy have each spent enormous resources studying exactly how to make their products feel like smart decisions in the moment, while hiding their long-term wealth destruction behind complicated contracts, clever marketing language, and the intoxicating feeling of ownership. Poor retirees do not buy wealth-destroying assets because they are stupid. They buy them because they are human, because they respond to the same emotional triggers that every human responds to: the desire for status, the fear of missing out, the comfort of certainty, the pleasure of consumption, and the deep human need to feel that they are making progress towards something meaningful. The consumer economy knows these triggers better than most people know themselves, and it uses them without mercy. Rich retirees are not immune to these triggers. They are not made of different emotional material. What they have is a trained and practiced ability to pause between the emotional trigger and the purchasing decision long enough to ask one question that poor retirees almost never ask. Not, does this feel like a good purchase? But what does this actually cost me over the full period? I will own it. And what is the real return on this use of my retirement capital compared to every other use of that same money? That question is the difference between building retirement wealth and destroying it one comfortable feeling purchase at a time. Now that you understand the mindset that makes these traps dangerous, let us start the list. And the first 2 assets will almost certainly surprise you with how familiar they already are. The first wealth-destroying asset on this list is parked in the driveways of struggling retirees across America right now. It is losing value by the minute. It is costing its owner thousands of dollars per year in insurance, maintenance, registration, and financing charges they never fully calculated before they signed the purchase agreement. And the second one is even more insidious, because unlike the first one, you cannot even sell it when you realize the mistake. You are trapped. Financially, legally, permanently. Let me show you exactly what these 2 assets are doing to retirement savings. The first wealth-destroying asset that rich retirees refuse to buy and poor retirees purchase repeatedly is the brand new luxury vehicle purchased primarily for status rather than genuine transportation necessity. This is not an argument against owning a good car. It is a factual description of what happens financially when a retiree purchases a new $50,000 to $70,000 vehicle in retirement using either cash or financing. A new vehicle loses between 15 and 25% of its purchase value the moment it leaves the dealership lot. In the first 3 years of ownership, the typical new vehicle loses 40 to 50% of its original purchase price through depreciation alone. A $60,000 vehicle becomes a $30,000 vehicle in 3 years without a single mechanical failure and regardless of how carefully it is maintained. This is not a possible outcome. It is the statistically predictable mathematical reality of new vehicle ownership that dealers never calculate for you before you sign. The total real cost of a new luxury vehicle purchase for a retiree includes depreciation, comprehensive insurance premiums that are significantly higher on new vehicles, financing costs if the purchase is not cash, registration fees tied to vehicle value, and the opportunity cost of the capital deployed. Over a 5-year ownership period, the true all-in cost of a $60,000 vehicle commonly exceeds $90,000 when all these factors are properly calculated. That is $90,000 of retirement capital that will never compound again. The second wealth-destroying asset is the timeshare, and unlike a vehicle that merely depreciates, a timeshare is a financial trap with no legitimate exit. The average timeshare purchase price is approximately $22,000. The average annual maintenance fee is over $1,000 and increases every year. The resale market for timeshares is essentially non-existent units that sold for $20,000 routinely list on secondary markets for $1 because owners are so desperate to escape the perpetual fee obligation they will pay to give it away. The total financial damage of a timeshare purchase over 20 years of retirement combining the purchase price, cumulative maintenance fees at average escalation rates, and the opportunity cost of that capital commonly exceeds $75,000 to $100,000. For a retirement account generating 4% annually, that is the equivalent of destroying a $2 million portfolio's annual income for an entire year. Over a timeshare that is rarely used and impossible to sell. 2 assets. Potentially $150,000 in combined retirement wealth destruction. And we are just getting started. Assets 3 and 4 are even more dangerous because they hide behind the illusion of being responsible decisions. The next 2 wealth-destroying assets on this list are unique and particularly dangerous because they are sold to retirees under the guise of responsibility and protection. They are marketed as the smart, careful, prudent choice. They appeal directly to the human desire for certainty and security, and they are, according to decades of financial research and the consistent advice of fee-only fiduciary financial planners, among the most expensive and least financially efficient products that retirement-age Americans regularly purchase. What are they? One is sold at every retail checkout counter in America. The other is sold in sophisticated financial planning offices. Both are quietly draining retirement wealth. The third wealth-destroying asset is the extended warranty purchased systematically on virtually every major consumer product by poor retirees and almost never purchased by wealthy ones. Extended warranties generate profit margins of 50 to 80% for the retailers that sell them, because they pay out claims far less frequently than their premium income justifies. They are designed using actuarial data that tells manufacturers and retailers exactly how rarely their products fail outside the original warranty period, and they price the extended warranty to capture enormous profit from that statistical reality. The financial damage of systematic extended warranty purchasing accumulates invisibly over a retirement lifetime. A retiree who purchases extended warranties on televisions, appliances, computers, smartphones, and other major electronics across a 20-year retirement can easily spend $5,000 to $8,000 on warranties that collectively pay out less than $500 in claims. Every dollar spent on an extended warranty that never pays a claim is a dollar that generated zero return, worse than keeping cash under a mattress. because at least cash retains its nominal value. The wealthy retiree response to the extended warranty trap is self-insurance through a dedicated emergency fund. When you have a liquid reserve specifically earmarked for unexpected consumer product failures, the entire extended warranty value proposition collapses. You do not need to pay a retailer to insure against a risk you can comfortably absorb yourself. The fourth wealth-destroying asset is permanent life insurance, specifically whole life, universal life, and indexed universal life policies sold to retirees who no longer have dependents relying on their income. Life insurance exists to replace income for people who depend on it. A retiree whose children are financially independent, whose mortgage is paid off, and whose surviving spouse is protected by Social Security survivor benefits and portfolio assets has in most cases eliminated the financial need that life insurance is designed to address. Whole life insurance policies sold to retirees typically generate internal rates of return between 1 and 3%, dramatically below what the same premiums invested in a diversified low-cost index fund would produce. The cash value accumulation is tax-deferred, but accessible only through loans against the policy or surrender. The mortality and expense charges embedded in permanent life insurance products silently consume a portion of every premium paid in a way that is deliberately obscured by complex policy illustrations. These two assets together, extended warranties and unnecessary permanent life insurance, can drain tens of thousands of dollars from retirement portfolios over a typical 20 to 30-year retirement period. 4 assets down, 4 more to go, and the next 2 are the ones that most directly target retirees, specifically because the industry knows exactly who is most vulnerable to these particular traps. The next 3 wealth destroyers have one deeply important thing in common. Every single one of them feels like a completely rational and even exciting decision at the moment of purchase. The vacation property feels like a dream fulfilled. The high-fee investment fund feels like access to professional expertise. The lottery ticket feels like a reasonable chance at transformation. And every single one of them, examined honestly with real numbers over a real retirement timeline, is a quiet and relentless destroyer of the retirement wealth you spent decades building. Let me show you why. The fifth wealth-destroying asset is the vacation property. The lake house, the beach condo, the mountain cabin purchased in early retirement as a lifestyle reward and maintained through the retirement years, at a cost that most buyers dramatically underestimate before signing the purchase agreement. Vacation properties carry a double financial burden that primary residences do not. They generate no imputed rent benefit because they are not your primary housing. They generate no reliable rental income unless actively managed as a rental property with all the associated management costs, maintenance requirements, and tax complications. They carry property taxes on a second property, insurance premiums on a second property, maintenance costs on a second property, and the ongoing carrying costs of a second set of utilities, HOA fees, and upkeep obligations. The annual all-in carrying cost of a vacation property, including property taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, and HOA fees, commonly runs between 3 and 6% of the property's purchase price every year. On a $300,000 vacation property, that is $9,000 to $18,000 per year in pure carrying costs before the owner spends a single dollar actually using the property. Over a 20-year retirement, that is $180,000 to $360,000 in carrying costs alone, that never generates a return and never contributes to retirement security. The sixth wealth-destroying asset is high-fee actively managed mutual funds and investment products. The difference between a fund charging 1.2% annually and an index fund charging 0.05% seems trivial. On a $500,000 portfolio over 30 years, that fee difference consumes over $200,000 in returns that should have been compounding in your account. The seventh wealth-destroying asset is lottery tickets purchased repeatedly by millions of struggling retirees as a perceived path to financial transformation. The mathematical reality is that lottery tickets return approximately 50 cents for every dollar spent on average. $500 spent annually on lottery tickets invested instead in a broad market index fund over 30 years becomes approximately $50,000. The lottery takes that $50,000 and returns approximately $15,000 in expected value. The net wealth destruction from 30 years of modest lottery participation approaches $35,000 per consistent player. 7 assets identified. 7 wealth destroyers examined in detail. But the 8th and final one on this list is the most expensive of all, and it is the one that almost nobody identifies as a financial asset at all. The 8th and final wealth-destroying asset on this list is unlike everything else we have discussed. It has no price tag. It cannot be returned for a refund. It does not appear on any bank statement or investment account. And yet financial researchers, retirement planners, and behavioral economists consistently identify it as the single most expensive thing that poor retirees purchase throughout their retirement years, often repeatedly, often unknowingly, and always at devastating long-term cost. What is it? And how do you stop buying it before it destroys everything you have worked to build? The 8th wealth-destroying asset that poor retirees keep buying and rich retirees refuse to touch is comforting financial ignorance, the deliberate or unconscious choice to avoid understanding the true financial implications of their money decisions in exchange for the emotional comfort of not having to confront difficult numbers. Financial ignorance is purchased every time a retiree signs a financial document they do not fully understand, because understanding it would require uncomfortable effort. It is purchased every time a retiree accepts a financial advisor's recommendation, without asking the fundamental questions: what does this cost me in total? What is your compensation for selling this to me? And what are the specific alternatives you considered and rejected? It is purchased every time a retiree avoids checking their investment fee structures because the current arrangement feels comfortable and familiar. It is purchased every time a retiree allows the complexity of tax planning, Social Security optimization, or withdrawal sequencing to go unaddressed because confronting it feels overwhelming. The financial cost of comforting ignorance across a 30-year retirement is staggering. Unclaimed Social Security optimization strategies cost the average married couple between $50,000 and $150,000 in lifetime benefits. Unreduced investment fees compound into hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost returns. Unexecuted Roth conversion strategies generate lifetime tax bills that could have been legally and significantly reduced. Unaddressed healthcare planning creates catastrophic financial emergencies that consume years of carefully accumulated savings. Every one of these costs is preventable. Every one is the direct financial consequence of choosing not to know, of purchasing the temporary comfort of ignorance at the permanent price of financial security. The most important thing you can do with the information in this video is not simply to avoid the 7 specific assets we discussed in the previous chapters. It is to make a firm and irreversible decision to stop buying the 8th one, to commit to financial engagement over financial avoidance, to ask the uncomfortable questions, read the difficult documents, and make the hard decisions that separate retirees who die with financial dignity from retirees who spend their final years watching the savings they worked decades to build slowly disappear. You have spent your entire working life building something. Do not let any of these 8 assets take it from you. If this video made you uncomfortable in a way that will change your financial behavior, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel because every week we give you the retirement truth that most financial content is too comfortable to tell you. And share this video with someone you care about because this warning could save their retirement.